In this video, we're going to talk about rounding sig figs and how to use them in multiplication and division, as well as addition and subtraction. So when you're rounding sig figs, just like when you're rounding anything else, any value greater than or equal to 5 is going to cause the number to round up. So if we're given this number, 2.4862, and I'm asking you to round it to a certain number of significant figures, it's going to dictate the answer. So if I'm rounding to 4 sig figs, all of those would count. And I need to determine whether or not this is going to make that 6 round up to a 7 or not. Since that's less than 5, then it's not going to. So the number remains 2.486. If I round to 3 sig figs, I have to look at what this number does to the third significant figure. Since it's a number greater than 5, this 6 will cause that 8 to round up to a 9. So with 3 sig figs, we would say that we know this to be 2.49. And if we were rounding to 2 sig figs, we have to look at how this number impacts that one. So it would become a 2.5, as we can see here. Now, when we're multiplying and dividing sig figs, what we're going to do is we're going to round to the lowest number of significant figures given in the problem, because that will be the maximum detail with which we can say we know our calculation. So if I were multiplying these two numbers by each other, 6.58 contains 3 sig figs, 12.42 contains 4 sig figs. When you plug that into your calculator, you're going to get 81.7236. But you don't know all of this stuff. So if you report the answer to that way, you're saying you know something to the 10,000th place, and you really don't. You really only know it to 3 significant figures worth. And looking at these 3, that 2 is not going to make it round up, so we would report that answer as 81.7. Now, when we're doing addition and subtraction, we're going to do, before I move on. There are some numbers that we use in calculations when we're doing dimensional analysis within the next unit where there's going to be absolute values. Like there are absolutely 7 days in a week. There are really 7.00000 days and 1.00000 weeks. So you really don't have to worry about that impacting your answer. When we're doing addition and subtraction, what we got to do is we line up the numbers and we look to the furthest place to the right at which they have a digit in common or a significant figure in common. If we were to subtract 0.5682 from 50.42, when we line them up, we see that the hundredths place is the furthest place to the right that they have in common. So then what we have to do is we have to look at the number with anything past that and determine whether or not that's going to make the other value round. Since the 8 will actually cause this 6 to round up to a 7, after looking at it, when we subtract this, this becomes 49.85. And that's what we would report our answer as.